Circle Back podcast, the show where two great friends get together and just talk about games. I'm Dan LaMarca, as always. I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Daniel Dufrenoy?
Oh, sorry. Daniel Dufrenoy.
Oh, no, I wasn't being... I don't know. I was just repeating what you said.
Well, you know what,
I can't believe
Dan?
it's been 38 episodes. I feel like we just started 38 episodes ago. That's crazy.
Well,
Right?
yeah, that is crazy.
That's like insane.
Dan, we're going to kick it off like, I love to do.
I know you love to hear, like, you always ask what I've been playing.
What have you been playing?
I want to talk about a game that you've been playing and that I've been playing.
That's what we've both been playing.
It's so good.
What is it?
I think we're just good. Let's try to talk about it as much as we can without actually saying the name of the game.
I don't know if that's a great idea.
Dead Cells. It's so good.
Yeah, so talk to me about... I talked a lot about Dead Cells last week. I want to hear your impressions so
Yeah,
far. And then we can convene.
Yeah, no. So I know you talked about how it was Rogue and all this stuff, and you gave a beautiful history of Rogue games and all that. And you're absolutely like I thought. So when you described the idea, so like I love games like Rogue Legacy. I really like, going in, getting a lot of gold, and then each time you were done leveling up your character. So each run you do, you're a lot stronger, and you feel stronger, and you can, find more of the castle, beat enemies easier, stuff like that. So like I was like really, really, when it came to games that were roguelike, I was kind of set that, okay, well, if it's not like Rogue Legacy, I'm probably not going to enjoy it because I really, really like that style. So when you're mentioning Dead Cells, and, I know you said that the game upgrades the world, and I don't think I appreciated that as much. Just hearing about it, I think I was more just like, I don't know if I'm going to really like this. Like, I'm not sure, I feel like, I'll probably maybe get bored of this, or it's just going to seem too intimidating or too hard. But it's absolutely the farthest thing from the truth, honestly. Now I understand what you were saying last week, was that, yes, you don't upgrade your character per se, but like you said, you upgrade the world, you unlock trinkets in the world that can be, generated in the world, stronger weapons, more health vials, things like that. And I think it's flawless, and I love it just as much as a game like Rogue Legacy, where I do feel each run I get better, I have more opportunities to succeed, and I love it. I love the art style. I love the combat. The combat's great.
Combat's the best part of the game.
It's
really.
It's never clunky. It's never stale.
No, it's very smooth.
Yeah. Every time and what I love too. So your character has like a little on the bottom. It's kind of like Fortnite, where like you have like X is this weapon, square is this weapon, R1 is this weapon, R2 is this weapon. So like learning the enemies and like the way that they'll attack. So I know in the first stage where you're like in the prison, there's that one enemy that like green little enemy that will like jump at you.
Right.
And when I first started playing, like he was doing damage to me because I wasn't thinking. Right. But being able to just know, okay, like when I run into this enemy, like make sure my shield's ready so I can block and like stuff like parry and just stuff like that. Like that, it's like really fun. It's really keeping me going. And I've played a really decent amount. I even fought. I got a boss so far.
Fought the first boss?
The one with the moss, where you can tickle the moss now and now it grows, wherever that was. And I love it so much.
Was that an elite enemy, or was that like a named boss?
Oh, I don't know.
Because sometimes you fight enemies and it says elite above them. You ever see that?
I'm not sure.
Was it like a regular enemy type that you've seen before with just...
He had a bow. I don't know if that...
Yeah, well, what I'm asking is, like, have you seen an enemy like him? This guy just had more damage, more health,
this guy
more
was a little bit tougher.
But he was the same type of enemy.
Yeah, so that was an elite boss?
So there are specific named bosses that are like completely unique characters.
Gotcha.
Right,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So you took down the first elite and you got the moss upgrade?
I can tickle moss now.
Cool. Well, you could always tickle moss. Now you can do something else with moss.
Tickle.
Right?
Tickle.
That's what you mean?
Oh, yeah, now it turns into...
A vine, yeah. That's fine.
Spoilers.
No, not too much of a spoiler.
But I'm loving it. I'm really, really enjoying it. You're the one that I remember when they were doing the trailers and stuff, you're like, Dan, you should really check this game out. And I absolutely love it. One of my favorite games of the year so far. I've just been really devouring it and playing a lot of that. And
it really is an excellent game.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say than that, really. I'm just really, really enjoying it. It's like there are games that like I'll play where I'm just like, oh my god, like I'll think about them constantly, like, oh my gosh, like this story or this or that, and I'll just like really, really like get really, really into them. This game to me is just like 100% fun, and honestly, it's like a really nice, refreshing, kind of thing. I feel like a lot of the games I've been playing lately, like Octopath and Vampire and Even Detroit. It's just a lot of this more like. Maybe it's also because like I have like a lot of qualms with those games, but at the same time, like those games and those game styles, it's a lot more. I don't know. I feel like I just get much more.
It's not as enjoyable.
It's not as enjoyable. Yeah, it's a lot more just kind of a trudge through.
Could be a little bit of a slog.
Yeah, this game I'm enjoying every run.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know what turns people off about rogue like games is that you die and then you start from the beginning. But it's never it's never stale. I enjoy it. I get farther and farther.
Have you found any specific cool weapons or abilities or anything yet, or are you mostly just upgraded bows, upgraded whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I got the what you do is you find these cells or like these blue orbs, and like you go to like a shop and you can, if you have like 50, you can get like an extra like
health
flask. Or
you also get blueprints for weapons that if you make it back. Have you got any blueprints?
Oh, I haven't found any blueprints.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Oh, wait a second. That's not true. I think I have actually. Like a blood sword? Was that one?
Yeah,
I got one of those, and I think I got some sort of arrow. I don't remember the specifics.
I just don't know if you, for me, they're very like distinct when I get certain weapons. Like when I first got a whip for the first time.
Oh, I didn't get the whip.
Yeah, it's an electric whip. That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you get the Frost Blast?
Oh, it really reminds me of Castlevania.
Did you get the Frost Blast or no?
No. Oh wait, the Frost Blast, is that like the bomb that you can throw?
No.
Oh.
Frost Blast is literally like a Sub-Zero, like, and they freeze.
This game's amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
I gotta go play some more
Frost Blast with the hammer combo is awesome.
Oh, I gotta go play some more now.
Yeah. I'm still playing as well. Really, really enjoying it. I beat the second boss on one of my runs and got really far. I feel like I was very close to the end and I died and I was very upset. But that game gets real tough when you get near the end, I will say.
How many areas are there?
So I know how many there are, but you don't access them all in one run. If that makes sense.
That's what I noticed too. Is like first time you're in the dungeon. I'm sorry, I'm not cutting you off.
No, you're not.
You're on the dungeon, and then you go. First when I first started playing, you go to that like area where it's like pink background and like you get the spikes on the platforms.
That's the third area.
No way, because then I was.
So you're talking about the ramparts?
Yeah.
Yeah, because listen, so the first area is the prison, right? The second is like an outdoor area. Remember?
Oh yes. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm jumping.
Yeah. So the second, I forget what it's called. It's like the yard or something.
Okay.
Prison yard, and that's where it's like very medieval exterior. Like there's a forest in the background and stuff. Then from there is the ramparts.
Right. Okay.
So that's like the third.
Because then there's the sewers.
So yes, from the first area. In most areas, there are multiple exits, at least two. Some there are three, where they kind of are like separate paths that meet back up, is how I describe it.
Gotcha.
So there are like 22 areas, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, in one run, you can only access like 12 or something.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you make it all the way through, it depends on what path you took, but... Yeah, usually a lot of those newer areas are gated by the like traversal upgrades, right? Like you can't get to the toxic sewers until you can put the moss,
right.
vine.
And now there's the sarcophaguses that I gotta open up somehow, something like that. There's like the little, or the Iron Maidens or whatever.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those are teleporters.
Ah.
It like electric when you touch it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I'm.
No, the game's incredible.
I'm really enjoying it very much so.
The thing that I really love about it is the more I play it, the more I like it because, like I said, you are unlocking new weapons, new abilities that I didn't even know were in the game. Like I got this thing called a barnacle. It's like a slotted weapon like a grenade or something. And you throw it and it sticks to the ceiling and it's basically an automated turret.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it'll like aim at closest enemy and just start
cool.
shooting. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like the difference in playstyles is just insane. Like I favor a certain playstyle. But sometimes I'll be like, let me try this. I never really build out like my red skill. Like I always go for purple. So let me do a red run and I'm just doing like huge amount of damage and stuff. And exactly what you said, you use shields a lot, right? You don't really pick up the bow. You like the shield?
No, I like the shield a lot better.
I didn't use the shield for like the first 5 hours. I only used bow and sword. And now like I'm using the shield. I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. Like, you get the really good shields that block 90% of damage. and then you can parry with them and stuff.
That's awesome.
It's just so cool to. That's what you want in a game that's run-based is a huge variety,
right?
Because it makes you want to keep coming back and trying new things, and this game does it super
I'm
well.
just having just a blast with it. It's seriously one of my favorite games of the year.
Definitely,
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm really, it's been a while since there's been like a game where I've just felt like, maybe not a while, but like where I've just felt like, oh man, I'm just having like a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Like I can't put it down. So
awesome. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Thanks, buddy.
I have one game in particular that I really, really want to talk about, but I want to skip ahead a little bit, and we'll just talk quickly.
Okay.
I'm saying there's one game that I've been playing, Exapunks,
Gotcha.
that I want to talk about, but I want to save that for last.
Okay,
so,
that's cool.
I played The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit.
Oh, what'd you think?
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great. I think some of the stuff fell flat. I think it was a little tropey. You played it or no?
I did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely trophy.
But it's a little too much, you know what I mean? I think the idea is interesting, but when it goes from, it's a very short game. I don't mind spoiling it.
It's like 2 hours, I think.
But it's like, when it goes from, all right, he's just a bad dad that's an alcoholic, to they talk about bruises and stuff, then I'm like,
yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, I don't see that in this character, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they don't really show him as that kind of person.
As like an abusive father, yeah.
But, I don't know. I think it was good, and it's a, they do a good job of Life is Strange, in that universe, but I just...
Well, what do they mean by... I'm sorry, I feel like I keep cutting you off.
No, that's fine.
What do they mean by... so this is a prequel to Life is Strange 2.
Yeah.
Are we following this kid, or are we...
No. These are characters in that world. I have a feeling we're going to be playing as someone else that goes to a park and sees the kid, pretending to do stuff. Like, he's just a side character in Life is Strange 2.
Gotcha, okay.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I can pretty much guarantee that.
Okay.
But, yeah. So, enjoyed it. Didn't, like I said, I have very, very fond feelings of Life is Strange, so I think this game is subpar compared to that. But it was good. It was interesting, so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about Octopath.
Octopath, been playing more of it. I feel like maybe not on our podcast, but we've talked about it, just you and me. I really like it. I do. I like it. I love the combat system's awesome. I love how it's very Persona-esque in that way, where it's doesn't matter how strong you are. It's just you got to kind of like outsmart, do what you need. Love the art style. It harks back to some of my favorite games, Super Nintendo RPGs, and but in the meantime, some of the characters, are awesome. Some of the characters fall flat. To me, it's like I think I said it last week, or maybe just to you, it's like a hit or miss. To me, it's like a hit or miss kind of, RPG that really, the reason I enjoy it is like the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if that's enough for me to, I always think about, end of the year, game of the year time, where I'm just like, okay, is this going to how's it going to, carry over to, the end of the year? I think it's a good game. But I definitely,
Definitely falling off it a little bit.
not falling off in it, but I don't think I love it the way that I wanted to. And I think we've said it before. It's just, I think, not to sound pretentious, but we love, Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, and we know where these games could be, where this game could be like, and it doesn't reach that level.
I agree. And I've talked about it before on here, but it's just, I might be done with it. I just don't have the draw to want to play it, and that's usually the kiss of death for a game. If you're at a point where you're not really oh man, I really want to get back to that, then what?
Exactly.
Are you even going to go back?
Right. So that's where I stand.
All right.
On Octopath.
You also playing a little more Ni no Kuni 2?
Ni no Kuni 2. Every week me and my sister get to play an hour or two. Not much more to say. Loving that. And also I played. Speaking of the second game, I played Mario Party 2 with our buddy Scoots, who you saw in our episode of. What episode was he in?
He was in 36, I think. Where we
episode
did
36.
Couch co-op.
Check it out. But anyway, we were playing Mario Party 2, and I love it. It was so much fun. It's just what's so great about it. I know your feelings different, but what I love about it is just the random crap that happens. We did the space level, right? And somebody landed on like a green space, and it triggered a Bowser laser over here, so the laser just went down like the board, and if you were on that line on the board, it took away all your coins, and it kept landing on Mario like 7 times, and it was just like fun stuff like that. Like it's just.
Some people would call that frustrating, not fun.
Well, Mario was a computer character, so me and Scott were just laughing our asses off. So it was just
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't know.
No, I'll always say those are fun games if you are bought in on them, but they're not. I think
no skill. Like if you're actual
Well, no, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like you play a board game, like Candyland.
Yeah.
And it's like. Anything could happen. Anyone could win. That's the whole point of the game.
Right.
That's the whole point of Mario Party.
Exactly.
It's like anything could happen.
Listen.
Anyone could win. There's skill in the mini games,
All I'm
and
saying
certain ones are good.
Is that nobody wins unless everybody wins.
How about this? Nobody wins.
When you play Mario Party, you're just losing
That's
the whole
right.
time. All right. Talk about your game, Daniel-san.
Yes. So I've been playing a lot of the new Zachtronics game, Exapunks, it's called. So it's $20. Just came out last week on early access, actually, but it does not feel like an early access game because it's totally full-fledged. I've been playing quite a bit of it. Exapunks is a 1990s kind of like an alternate cyberpunk universe.
Okay.
Where, movies like The Matrix or like Hackers or, like it's very like 90s hacking. Like, that's the aesthetic. A lot of neon colors, a lot of, like, cool synthy music. But you play as this character who is sick with something called the phage. You don't really know exactly what it is.
Isn't that from Mass Effect, isn't it?
It's a genophage.
Oh, right.
Which maybe the phage is short for that. But you're infected, and you don't know what to do because you can't really work. You're sick. Someone comes to the door, an old friend of yours, and says, like, hey, you need this medicine, or you'll never get better, but you'll need to take it once a day, and it costs $700 for one dose, and you need to take once a day. So it's like, well, my life's over. The guy's thinking pretty much, I'm done. And then what happens is you log onto your computer because you used to be a hacker, and you're still like in these like fake IRC channels with a group of hackers called the Exapunks.
Okay.
So it's like you and 9 other people are in this like little text chat, and they're like, talking about random hacking stuff, and this like AI pops up on the screen and basically tells you like, I know how to help you get money, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'm going to get you 1 dose every time you do a job for me. This AI, like, female face. So she basically says, you're going to do what I want you to do, and you'll get a dose every day. And he's kind of like, whatever. Like, you choose dialogue options. They don't actually matter. It's just, like, flavor, Like, if she says, does that sound good? You could say, whatever. You could say, yeah, sounds great. Or you could say, well, I don't really have a choice. So it's like, you're
doing it anyway.
Yeah, it's happening, but it's like, you're adding a little flavor to the world. But a
little flavor.
That's right.
Like pepper.
So the game itself, aside from that whole thing, every once in a while you get a cutscene where you meet a character, have a discussion, they knock on your door. Really beautiful art style in those bits, and some good voice work too. I actually think this game is really, really polished. But if you know anything about Zachtronics games, that's not what this game is about. What I've been talking about. That's just the trimmings. So the game itself is basically a programming game.
Okay.
So it starts out with 4 tutorials, and they're tutorial missions, and it explains to you that what you're doing is in this fake alternate universe world, whatever it is, there are these things called EXAs, and they are what make computers go. Like when you type on the keyboard, the X's are like walking around inside the computer, moving stuff around. That's the whole premise of the game. Now what you're doing is hacking and writing code for the X's. So you literally have a text box on the left, and you have different verbs that you can use to make, it's basically a puzzle-solving game. So I talked about Opus Magnum early this year, actually, because it came out last year, and I really, really loved it. And I didn't get to play it until earlier this year, but I think that's right? Or maybe it came out in 2016.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, either way.
I just remember it was this year you were playing it.
Yeah,
definitely.
so that game is similar in that you're programming, but it's almost like that game is almost engineering while this is programming, you know what I mean? Where you have, in Opus Magnum, you have arms that do specific things, and you're just placing them,
Where they need to be.
to make like a Rube Goldberg machine that's just like moving pieces around. In this, you have full control over the X's. So you're literally writing, grab blank, move to blank.
Right.
Like, copy this into this. So without getting too in the weeds with how the game itself works, if you know anything about programming, this is literally basic programming. Like that's the whole.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the game is basic programming. So you saw a little bit. I showed you. It's very in depth. It's very.
Yeah, I feel like to get to the level that you're at, where you're just like, okay, this, it takes a lot of time.
Well, the reason that these Actronics games do so much for me is because I just like enjoy learning new things. So I'm like, I'm going to learn how to do this, even though it's so hard. It's like that's really enjoyable when I get to the point that I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can just start, programming this EXA. So it obviously goes through a progression, different discrete missions, where like, you start out by ordering a pizza to your apartment, and, by the point that I'm at, you're like editing like files in UC Berkeley's like database, like you could see it's escalating, but we'll see where it ends up in the end. I am in love with this game. I think it's one of the best games I've played this year. I really, really love it. And I will definitely be playing more. It has such this type of game always just is in your brain all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm at work and I'm like, let me think about, thinking about puzzles that I couldn't get through, because it like Zachtronics games, they know how to like make you think about it, So
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it looks.
Yeah, I'm in love with this game. It's certainly not for everybody, just like I would say about Opus Magnum. But if you have any interest in coding, programming, anything like that, it's super light if you actually know how to program. Like it's obviously not, I'm not typing in these long strings of code. It's just basic actions. But the thing about it is once you learn the language of it,
then it's just you can run with it.
Well, you can run with it, but then it becomes a puzzle. You see the puzzle for what it is. If I brought you into a later mission and said figure it out, but you didn't know the language,
I have no idea just the first mission, to be honest.
But what I'm saying is like once you get going, you see it as like a witness puzzle or something, where it's like, where you're seeing it and you're like, okay, I need to do this. How do I get this to go there? Right. Like you're not worried about typing in all the lines of programming because you know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like I know how to get this to that. It's just a matter of certain bypasses or one of the X's can only do certain things. So it gets very complicated. It is a lot of fun, and like I said, if you have any interest in that, I highly, highly recommend this game. It's excellent. If you have no interest in that, stay far away from this game because you will not enjoy it. And I don't blame you if this is not a game that's for everyone.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I've been kind of rotating between that and Dead Cells, going back and forth. They're nice palate cleansers for each other.
Well, that's a good point because they're complete opposites.
Literally complete opposites. Yeah.
You know how you talk about how Exapunk stays like in your head, like for me, Dead Cells it's
literally super cerebral or just super tactile. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
it's like one is pure
can't be so heavy
execution and one is pure mental.
Yeah. It depends on your mood. Some days you just want to be super heavy, and then some days.
And it's not even heavy. Like it's not like.
No, just like it's like playing like Into the Breach or like Darkest Dungeon, where it's just like you're in the game, but everything's just so like if I do this, and I do this,
But I mean,
I love that. And there's days where I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
and then there's days where I'm just like, you know what? There's days where I want to listen to The Clash and Public Enemy, and then, well, actually, that's not true. I always want to listen to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say. But then some days every night you want to put on a little Culture Club or a little, Take On Me by Aha. Just like listen to it and just like jam out a little bit, But that's true. Most of the time it is just The Clash and Public Enemy.
Well, yeah, I think music is a specific different thing. I think movies and books you could say that for, but sometimes you want like an action movie, and sometimes you just want something a little headier.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been nice. Like I'd play an hour of Exapunks, play an hour of Dead Souls, and then like, or vice versa.
It's like,
So that's what we've been playing. I have a couple little. We're gonna start doing this a little bit more, where I just have a couple of like news items kind of things, just to things that I saw this week that I'm excited about. In the future, I'll have Dan look for some things too, because I don't want to monopolize just things that I'm excited about. But I think we're both excited about the Red Dead.
I'm not excited about anything, so it's fine. I hate my life.
I think we're both excited about that Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer.
Yes.
So
they
put out last Thursday. They put out a gameplay trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar did. And if you don't know, that game comes out October 26th this year. And so we got a pretty good look at gameplay and some changes that they're making to the first one. So what are some things that stood out to you?
Honestly, the coolest thing, I think, was the dialogue options you have. And you mentioned this too, so I don't want to steal your thunder if that was also one of your coolest things. But like, when you're riding on your horse, or if you're just in the town, or you meet up with someone, depending on the situation, like the way you can approach, like the way that you can approach a situation. It's
literally the verbs, like the verbs that you have access to.
You can intimidate, you can antagonize, you can diffuse a situation, you can be nonchalant about it. You can so for example, like if you're in a town and you see someone and they're like, hey, you stupid idiot. Like, you can either...
I'm sure they'll be a little more colorful than that.
Listen, I watch my profanity, don't you worry. So, like, you could either be like, hey, it's cool, like, don't, I'm just, passing by. You could be like, hey, stupid person. You could do that. You could take out a knife and, like, put it up to their throat.
Right.
Or you could just, like, ignore... Like, you can just... It's a lot more fluid and fleshed out than that, but I'm just...
Yeah, the things that I like is that's one example. Another would be there's somebody being tied up, and you've seen this, in other games, but usually it's do you help them or do you not help them? In this, it would say diffuse, ignore, rob, or pull out your gun.
Yeah.
So it's like you could just pull out your gun and see how they react. Right. And maybe they pull out their gun and then you're shooting. But maybe they're like, whoa, just whatever. So it's interesting that they're adding more verbs to the open world because I love that.
And that fleshes out your character and just, the kind of play...
Well, it allows you to make this character into a different type of person depending on how you want to play.
Right.
Which is cool. That's the kind of thing that I loved in Mass Effect. And it seems like they're really going for something like that. Obviously, you don't have... Well... I can't say for sure, but it doesn't appear that if you're in a cutscene, you have specific dialogue options that might change your, your Paragon Renegade. I'm not saying that, but it's changing your characterization for those moments in particular, right? So it's like if you decide, hey, my guy, he wouldn't stop this guy from kidnapping this girl because he's not a good guy,
right?
Then you play like that.
Or you can play as a bad guy, or you play as a good guy.
Yeah.
Or as a lukewarm...
But now the story is going to go the way the story goes because it's a Rockstar game. So it's like what you're doing is doing characterization for yourself.
Right.
You're not
the
actually
missions aren't going to change.
Yeah, this isn't like a Telltale game or something. Right. But, I'm not saying there's none of that because there might be a mission that would be like, hey, if you get a choice at the end and it might change the world, that's possible. I'm not saying that's out of the question, but what I'm talking about in particular with these new verbs is the fact that you can really decide who you want to be, and that's cool. We also got a bunch of looks at our main character basically just riding a horse slowly in nature, and it looks so good.
It's a beautiful looking game.
It really looks so beautiful. They showed some of the new Deadeye stuff. Looks really a lot more fluid than the first one.
Yeah, but I never had an issue with that in the first one. I don't think.
I didn't have an issue
again,
either. I'm just saying it looks very smooth.
It's been 8 years. Or when was the last time? When
7 years. Yeah,
that game come out.
It's a long time ago.
So.
But yeah, it really does look phenomenal. They walked us through. There was that classic female voice that is over every Rockstar trailer, basically breaking down.
This is what we're going to do in this game. You'll really like this. We added.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, but we really did. We got a good look at some cutscenes. We got a good look at some gameplay. The game just looks fantastic.
It looks good, man. We got some good games coming out.
Do have some good games coming out.
Looking forward to.
I know. Excited.
Gosh, we got Spider-Man and we got
Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man went gold like a month and a half before it came out. Wow, it's pretty cool. They're really holding it for that day.
That's awesome.
So that's Red Dead 2. We're very excited. Comes out in October.
I'm pumped. I think I'm gonna conveniently have the flu that week.
Yeah, seriously.
Same thing with Spider-Man.
I hope I have no tests around that day.
I know. I can conveniently call work, call out of school, call everyone I know.
I gotta check my school schedule. Does Spider-Man come out? I think it comes out
on a Friday.
The day. I think it comes out. Oh, it comes out on Friday.
I don't know.
I
think so.
Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Right.
No, because that Tuesday, because I start the same night you do, the 4th. We start the 4th.
There you go. So
God, that's 2 weeks from now. Damn it.
Yeah, scary. But another little item I put on here that I was super excited to see, THQ Nordic, who, it's a whole weird storied history with this company.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say they acquired Time Splitters, and they said we're making a new Time Splitters game.
Okay.
And if you don't know what Time Splitters is, we talked about it a little bit with Scott when he was here. It's basically the evolution of GoldenEye. So it's a 4-player split screen multiplayer shooter where you can have bots and have mayhem because there's a bunch of different crazy characters. That's the main way that I played it. There was also a story mode, single player mode that was actually really good and really interesting and cheesy as hell, but a lot of fun. And it had a lot to do. Time Splitters is because they're literally time travelers that go back and fix certain bad things that happened in history, kind of thing. So we're getting a new Time Splitters out of this. I am super, super excited.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Because those old games are amazing. Time Splitters 2 is one of my favorite multiplayer games ever.
Were there ever Time Splitters arcade games at Dave & Buster's?
No, that's Time Killers.
It's the same thing. Oh, it's a Time Crisis. No,
yeah. Let's look it up, Dan.
Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know.
I think you're right.
Because now I feel like an idiot.
But it's something Crisis. It's not Time Crisis.
This is why I feel like an idiot, because when you guys are talking about Time Splitters, I'm like, yeah, I remember those games.
It is Time Crisis. Time Crisis.
That's what I remember. Yeah,
what is Time Killers?
See, now I feel like an idiot. Because, there is a Time Killers.
Oh, Time Killers is a fighting game.
For the Genesis. All right, so now I feel like an idiot, though. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Because when you're talking about Time Splitters, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you guys are talking about. And apparently I didn't. So
yeah, Time Splitters, a hell of a game. I adore this game. But it's literally, your GoldenEye-esque split screen shooter, these kind of things.
Cool.
So.
All right, well, for your sake, buddy, I hope.
It was just fun. They had a lot of cool guns. They had a lot of cool characters. Everyone wanted to play as the monkey because he was really small. He was like Oddjob. But love that game. If they're bringing out a new one, I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do. Not a ton of faith in THQ Nordic, but we'll see.
What are the games of THQ Nordic?
THQ Nordic. So again, they have a very sordid history that would literally be like a whole episode if we want to talk about it all.
You don't have to regale me if you don't want to. It's okay.
No, I'm just saying it's they used to be called Nordic Studios.
Okay.
And then they started buying a bunch of THQ properties and decided to rename themselves THQ Nordic. It's a very weird situation, I'm telling you. It's very weird. But they have a bunch of properties. I think they, I should look it up, but I think they are putting out the new Darksiders.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I believe they are. Let's take a look.
So for all you, Darksiders 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that comes out this year.
Because they acquired the old Darksiders games and they put them out as, the Definitive Edition and stuff, So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. We'll see what happens with it, but they wouldn't acquire the IP if they didn't want to make a new game. They put out a statement that they said, we have plans to make a game.
That's pretty cool.
They're excited about it. So
pretty cool.
Not bad. No Metal Gear Corner today. You haven't played Metal Gear Solid 4 yet, right?
No, I have not.
We're going to give Dan a little break on Metal Gear. But before it gets out of his head, I'm going to make him start it back up soon enough.
Metal Gear 4. I only got 2 more games.
2 more.
I'm loving them. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I'm loving them. I am.
All right, so main topic for today, what I wanted to talk about. Octopath Traveler kind of sparked something in my mind because I keep thinking in my head, I'm done with this game. I don't think I want to play this game anymore.
Okay.
So the question that I'm posing is, when is it okay to give up on a game? Now, the real answer is whenever you want.
Right.
But I want to have a discussion about the psychology of
a
playing
it. Yeah.
And when you personally feel like it's okay, do you ever feel like it's okay? Are you a completionist? Do you give up on games a lot?
Right,
like,
yeah.
how do you tackle giving up on a game? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
So let's hear it.
All right. So for me, it's like there's 3 reasons why I'll give up on a game. One is sometimes there's just so many games, and it's not even giving up on a game. Sometimes it's just accidental, I think. I know you said it with Ni no Kuni 2. Like, you were playing it, really, really enjoying it, and then God of War came out. And that happens so many times, not even with just games, but like books or just, I could be in the middle of playing this amazing game that I love, and then another game comes out, and I'm like, oh, I gotta try that game out, and then I just get hooked on that game,
right? And
then another game comes out, and it's just like and then you never get a chance to go back. So that's a whole different.
I'll talk about that real quick because I certainly had that a lot. I remember BattleTech and Frostpunk came out almost the same day, and I loved both of them, and I stopped playing Frostpunk to play BattleTech, and I still haven't gotten back to it.
Yeah.
The problem that I have is, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's true or if it's just me in my head saying that this makes sense. If I really liked a game, then I actually would get back to it. But sometimes I don't go back to them, and I don't know if that's just because I'm like, too much time has passed, I'm done, or if I'm like, maybe I didn't love that game, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's an interesting point. I mean, how do you feel about like Ni no Kuni 2 or something like that?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if maybe it was like a low point of the game where I wasn't, I was in a lull or something, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I stopped playing it in the first place because I didn't love it. I'm saying really certain games you will go back. Like I played Witcher 3 when it came out for months, not months, for weeks. Something else came out, started playing it, and then literally 6-month break, I went back and picked up Witcher 3 as I left it and finished it.
Gotcha.
And absolutely adored it. So I don't know if it's a combination of when you're like in a low point, you have, a little bit of negative association for one reason or another, frustrating moment, and it's just easy to give it up. Like you always say, you played Dark Souls and you really enjoyed it, but you left it behind.
That's true. I did leave
So
it
was
behind.
it because you were at a frustrating point and it was easy to give up, or were you just like...
No, I think that was... Well, seriously, now playing Bloodborne, I'm absolutely loving it.
Right.
Like, I would love to go back to, like, Dark Souls, but I think at the time... the way that it was, I was playing... I forgot where I got up to. I was enjoying it very, very much, even through all the frustration. But then another game came along, and I just got into that. And then I was just like, that game's frustrating. I'm just going to, like, continue with it. But now, like, I'm interested to go back now that I love Bloodborne so much.
Right.
But then, I think part of it, too, is like... when your time is so, like, limited, and you only have, so few, like, hours of downtime, you want to play, either something new, because I always like to play, like, the newest thing, because I think it's good that we can talk about that and stuff like that, or also something that, like, I know, like, 100% I'm going to, like, enjoy. It's like you were talking about, like, movies with me the other day. You're like, I'm only going to go see a movie if I know I'm going to like it, kind of thing, so I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. I think... For me, the main difference, I almost do that with games too, but there are so many more games coming out. This is where it's interesting. When I talk about the movie situation where I'm like, I go to the movies like 6 times a year, and I see movies that I know I'm going to enjoy. And I'm like, is that because there are fewer movies that I'm enjoying than games? Because it's pretty rare. And the only reason I would play a game that I don't know if I'm gonna like is if it's a big game and I want to get my own experience for it. You said that about Detroit. You didn't want to buy Detroit, but you got to play it, and you were happy you played it, even though you didn't like it, because you're like, I really want my own take on it, just to be sure that I agree with some other takes out there, and you happen to agree. So it's like that situation is the only time I would buy or I would play a game that I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's like, are there just that many more good games than good movies? Like
maybe.
Because a lot of games get released every week, and a lot of movies are out there. But I feel like it really is. I don't know if it's the ratio of games I enjoy that come out are higher, or just games are more prolific. I don't know. But back to the point, I think for me, the real question is, when do you feel okay giving up on a game? So does it go game by game? Is it you feel it and you're like, all right, I think I'm just done with this game? Or
it goes, for me personally, I would say it goes game by game. I am, like, in a sense, every game that I start to play, I always have the intentions, okay, I want to beat this. Like, every game, even if it's a game that I don't like, it's, okay, you know what, like, I got to get to the end. I don't know why I have that in me. I think it's, like, the OCD in me where it's just like, oh, all right, I bought this game, like, I'm going to see it through to the end. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. But there are certain games where, like, I'll get to a point, or even there's games where even right off the bat, I'm like, crap, I'm not going to like this game. But I'm still, I know this is, like, stupid, and for some reason this is some, like, random number I'll have in my head. And, like, this is actually how, like, I'll think sometimes, and I don't know where it comes from. I'll be like, all right, well, if I give it at least, like, 5 to 10 hours, then I feel like, okay, like, I've seen enough to make a decision if I'm going to continue it, Or I'll be like, okay, maybe like 5 playthroughs, and I'll stop. I know it's some arbitrary number.
But
I don't know why.
That's exactly why I want to talk about this, because I think everybody has their own justifications for when they can give up on a game. For me, I've given up on a game in an hour, and I've waited 30 hours. For me, there's a difference between giving up on a game and just not finishing it. Perfect example, Ni no Kuni 2. I enjoyed the entire time I played it, and I don't think I'm going to finish it. It's not because I don't have any bad feelings about it. It's because I took a long break, and I'm like, I just don't really have, like, the story wasn't so engaging that I need to get back to it. Octopath, I think I played a lot of it, and I think I'm done with it.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of done with it. I think there's a difference between me actually having some negative feelings towards a game compared to just being like, I never got back to it. Because then we have games, like I mentioned before, Frostpunk, which I'm dying to get back to. I've wanted to play that game. I only played for like 2 hours, and I never got back to it. So I'm like, I want to get back to that game, but for some reason I'm just not going back to it. And again, I'm playing a bunch of different games. And the real problem is when you have the one game that you can always play when you're not playing something else. Like for me, Dota 2. It's like if I have downtime and I'm not playing anything else or there's nothing out this week, it's like I'm just gonna play Dota and have fun.
Right. Yeah.
So it's harder to go back to games when you have other stuff. You know what I mean?
True, and maybe that's it too. I think it's funny. I talk to certain people, like maybe they'll only play like. Talk about like how the movies, like we only go to like movies 6 times a year. Like there's people that will only maybe play like 5 video games a year, but like love those games and just like play. You know what I mean? So I think for me personally, it's and I'm the same way with movies, where I'm just like, all right, I gotta play it all, I gotta see it all, because if I'm gonna have an opinion on all this stuff, I gotta, So like movies, I'll watch crappy movies from that I know probably not gonna enjoy, but I still want to have an opinion on it. Like the Philadelphia Story is a classic movie from 1940. I'm not gonna like this movie, but I still gotta like see it just so I can talk about it.
And I get that, even if I don't share that quality, I understand it. But the thing for these games in particular is we're in a position where we talk about games every week, right? So we feel like we want to play as much of the new stuff as we can. Or we want to play, you come in and say, I played this really cool game, I think you should play it. Or I come in and say, I played this really cool game, I think you should play it. Now that's something that wasn't even on your radar. Now you have another game to
Right.
play. So it's like these people that you're talking about, your average person plays 6 games a year and plays them all for 40 hours.
Right.
It's like they're not worried about what we're talking about here because they're like,
Just saying we just put too much pressure on ourselves.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you play this many games, I find it personally easier to justify giving up on a game if I'm not enjoying it. Because I'm like, this stuff I could be playing.
But you have no problem, like an hour in a game, stopping.
Yeah, I played, what did I play? An hour of Sea of Thieves? 2 hours of Sea of Thieves max?
And that was it.
And that was it. Because I said, this is not the game for me.
Yeah.
I see what it's doing well, and it's just not for me. No Man's Sky next. I gave it a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's still not for me.
Yeah.
You know, I like what it's doing, but I'm not getting that enjoyment that I could be getting from an Exapunks, from a Dead Cells.
Right.
So for me,
Well,
I'm like,
wasting my time is yeah.
Yeah, my time is more important than other, like it's, that's why for me, I wanted to play more of Octopath as I was going because I'm like, maybe it's like, because there's something I liked and I was like, maybe there's something more.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out there wasn't. So then I say, done.
Okay.
Like for me, I need, if I'm actually enjoying a game in certain ways and not enjoying it in others, I need to make sure that I'm not going to miss something that I actually really enjoy,
See, for me, like, I'm not cutting you off again. I feel like I keep, like...
You do not know.
For example, like a game like Vampire, right? I know I've talked a lot about that, or Octopath, or even, a few years ago, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, where, like... Well, Octopath shouldn't be in this conversation. I'm going to talk about Vampire and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, right?
Okay.
Really, really excited for Mirror's Edge Catalyst. And I started playing it in, like, 20 minutes in. I'm just like, this isn't the game that I wanted. But I don't know what it is. I still feel like I always still have to be, okay, well, I still want to play it. it's not even like I want to play it. It's part of like, I still got to play it.
Yeah.
I got to put in at least some substantial amount of time. And it all comes down to like me wanting to have opinions and solidify my opinions. It was the same thing in Vampire. I got it, and that night I played it, 20 minutes in, I was just like, this just isn't the game that I thought that I was hoping for. Still, I played probably 10 to 15 hours of that game, multiple playthroughs, not playthroughs, but multiple times playing it, just because, to me at least, and in my head, I at least wanted to know either why I really like something or why I really, really don't like something. And I feel like the more time spent with something, the more you can just solidify your opinions and like really, really, Also, I think doing this, this show with you has really, not in a bad way, but like put more pressure on that where it's just like, okay, like I know like if Dan's playing the same game, I want to know why I feel the way that I do and be able to understand the way you feel, why you feel, and then be able to counterbalance that and have an actual discussion. Because I think video games, for example, like books, I have a lot more easier time putting them down. Nobody I talk to really is into the same books that I'm into, so if I'm like, okay, I'm done.
So, yeah, and this is where we split a little bit is, for me, the time is more important because of the amount of games that are out there. I always say in my head, like, if I played Vampire and didn't like it the way you did, I would have played an hour and been done. Because I'm like, I got what I needed out of it to see if I liked it. And now I can have a discussion with Dan.
Yeah.
If you liked it, you could play more time, and then I could hear about it. And then I would say, wow, I'm glad I stopped.
Yeah.
Or I could say, maybe I should get back to it. Because, like I said, there's so many games that even you haven't even played this year. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, it's like, I don't want to waste my time because that's the most valuable thing. I don't have that much time. So if I'm like, hey, should I play 15 hours of Vampire even though I didn't really like it? Or should I beat Yoku's Island Express in 8 hours and have a great time?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's where it's like, and I'm not saying I don't understand where you're coming from, but that's why this discussion is interesting because it's so many different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly.
You have people that buy a game and they're like, I'm playing this to the end no matter what. Mm-hmm. Like, man, it's a crappy game, but I'm playing it.
Yeah.
I'm playing it, and it's like...
But I kind of fall into that camp, I think, too. It's even like movies, like... I know people, like my mom and dad, if they're in the middle of watching a movie and like half an hour in, they don't like it, they're like, all right, let's just like change it. But me, I'm like, it could be a 4-hour movie and I hate it in the first 5 minutes, but I'm just like...
And you're going to watch it.
I got to watch it to the end. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just probably some...
Yeah, but that's why this is the whole discussion.
Yeah. So like, and I think I'm more passionate about video games than I am about a lot of other things.
Medium, yeah.
So I'm able to, so for me, I put much more weight on, okay, I'm going to play it. I got to understand why I don't like it or why I do like it. And I think just the more time with something,
yeah. And that's
solidify
totally reasonable. And that's where other resources are valuable to me, because if I play an hour of Sea of Thieves and I'm like, I don't like this, then instead of me saying, let me play 10 hours to make sure there's nothing I'm missing, I can read an article about somebody that played 20 hours and their impressions. And that way I can get my hour, see how I feel, and then say, am I missing stuff? And I might read that article and they have a bunch of cool things that I never saw, and I might be like, let me get back in and try that. That sounds great. Or I might read it and be like, okay, this person's enjoying it, but for the reasons that I don't like it.
Right.
So it's like, that's where you get that. That's where you as a resource, the internet as a resource, are valuable to be like, what am I, am I correct in assuming that after this hour, nothing is going to change that's going to make me enjoy it?
Yeah.
That's huge for me, and that's a huge time saver, because I'm not going to, I just won't put the time in. And that's why I'm saying Octopath is such an interesting one, because I like it a lot in a lot of ways, and I don't like it in certain ways. So that's when I said I need to make sure, because I really do like it. So let me keep playing it. And then I'm realizing, okay, I've gotten what I'm going to get out of it already. So why am I going to finish it?
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think,
So,
just different for different...
people, totally
guess,
different. That's the whole reason why it's a discussion.
But I do end up getting to that point, though, with a lot of games, where I will probably... I'll say I get to the point that with majority of games where I will get to the point where 15 hours in, well, it depends, not all games are that long, where I'm just like, all right, this is the last time I'll play it.
Right.
Take it out of the put the disc away.
But that's why it's, when you get a game like Breath of the Wild or like Mario Odyssey or Hollow Knight for me, it's like, I just want these games to be as long as they are, because I'm enjoying it every step of the way, and that's where it separates itself from a game. And that's why I'm saying it's almost like there's like different echelons of it, because I want a game like that I love, I want it to be as long as possible, and I'm not going to get sick of it. I'm playing Breath of the Wild, I played 50 hours of it, and I loved it the entire time. Same thing with Odyssey, same thing with Hollow Knight. But then you talk about a game like Ni no Kuni, where it's like, really enjoyed it, but if this was Breath of the Wild or Nier Automata, I'm not going to stop before the end.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, there's got to be a reason for that. And it's not just, hey, I took a break because a new game came out. It can't be.
That's totally fair. But I think that also in playing, it's so funny. I feel like there was a time, right, where we first started about video games, right? And there was like a list of like these great games that like I hadn't played. So like I remember spent like a whole summer just like playing all these great games. So all I did was play like amazing games, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
But then it's sort of like in a way catching up and like playing games as they're being released, you start to like realize the difference between like great games, and then good games, and then just mediocre games to bad games. And I think,
but it's so valuable, isn't it?
Is so valuable.
But that's what makes it feel like, and that's when we're talking about this. Is like, I really like Ni no Kuni too, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Hollow Knight came out last year, and I couldn't help but put 30 hours into it and beat it, because it's a great game.
Yeah.
And everything else went to the wayside. You know what I mean? All these games that were out at the time went by the wayside because this is such a great game. Yeah. And that's why, we talked about God of War earlier in the year. You know, certain games that we really, really enjoyed, Celeste, like stuff like that. It's like you're gonna play and finish those games because you really want to play and finish those games.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when you get into these are the game of the year top 10 contenders because they have that staying power. And it's not. That's why some people unfairly say a long game is more susceptible, and of course is more susceptible to getting left behind before it's finished. But a lot of people would say because the game is long, people are not going to finish it. And the reason that I would counter that is with those games that I'm talking about. You know, is with the Breath of the Wild, is with Odyssey,
where it's just every day that's all you're thinking
where
about.
Where it doesn't matter that it's long because I want them to be that long because I'm enjoying it every step of the way. So that's why games like Ni no Kuni 2, probably about 80% of the people that played it didn't finish it. And now, with a game like Breath of the Wild, maybe that's 50% of people instead of 80. You know what I mean? Because they're like, and these are totally BS statistics that I'm making up, obviously. But I'm just saying, I think that's why I'm talking about different echelon between great, good, mediocre, and how much time you're going to put into them.
And there is that. And honestly, obviously, the number of great games is far fewer than good games, which is far fewer than, you know.
And
why we always talk about, like, you know, game like, I'm sorry, I just cut you off yet again, but like, why do we always talk about a game like a Super Metroid or, you know, or like I said, a Breath of the Wild, like, those games just like stand the test of, you know. What
I will say is, because I was just talking about length of games, I will say it's, if you have a good game, not a great game, that's 5 hours instead of 40 hours, much more likely that you're going to finish it even though it's just a good game, not a great game. You know what I'm saying? Where Ni no Kuni is a good game that I'm not going to finish. You might finish, and you might enjoy it more than I do, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm not saying I don't, but I'm saying if you're talking about, like, you know, Yoku's Island Express and Ni no Kuni 2, it's like I beat Yoku's and I really enjoyed it. It's a good game. If it was 30 hours, I might not beat it.
Gotcha.
You know, where you're taking that kind of factor into it. But, you know, that's pretty much my thoughts on that. I don't know
it's all just, you know, on the mood, I guess.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you, Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby White, as always. Thank you, Dan, for being here with me.
Dan, thank you for having me over. And thank you for your everlasting love.
Yeah, well, you have it. What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks.